Lublin Prison, October 1948. A woman stands in the condemned cell awaiting her final hours. She is 34 years old. Her name is Elsa Ehrich. 3 years before, she was arrested by British occupation forces in Hamburg. She was transferred to US custody, then to Polish authorities. Now, after 3 years of imprisonment and trial, the sentence is final. She is about to be executed for war crimes. But her journey to this moment began long before the war ended. It began when she walked away from an ordinary life and chose to serve the machinery of genocide. How does an ordinary person become an architect of death? Elsa Ehrich's story reveals no dramatic moment of ideological conversion. There is no evidence she was a committed Nazi ideologue. What we find instead is something more troubling. A series of small choices, each one moving her deeper into a system of unprecedented brutality until her participation became total. Elsa Ehrich was born on March 8, 1914, in Bredereiche, a small town in the Grand Duchy of Mecklenburg-Strelitz in Germany. She grew up in an evangelical Protestant family. Her childhood was unremarkable by the standards of the time. She finished Volksschule and went to work. At some point in her youth, she found employment in a slaughterhouse. The work was routine, the pay was low. There is nothing in the historical record that suggests she harbored grand ambitions or harbored particular hatred toward any group. She was a working-class woman in a working-class world. On August 15, 1940, Elsa Ehrich volunteered for service at Ravensbrück concentration camp. Why she volunteered is not documented. There were no ideological statements, no declarations of Nazi commitment. By 1940, the camp system was already expanding. The Nazi regime needed guards. They recruited from the civilian population. Ehrich was trained as an Aufseherin, a female overseer. She completed her training and began work as a guard. By 1941, she was promoted to Rapportführerin, a position that gave her authority over female prisoners and other guards. She was no longer simply enforcing order. She was now part of the command structure. In October 1942, Elsa Ehrich was transferred to Majdanek concentration camp near Lublin, Poland. Majdanek was a vast complex of barracks, crematoriums, and gas chambers. It was designed to serve multiple functions: forced labor and systematic extermination. In February 1943, Ehrich became ill with typhoid. But she recovered. By the time she returned to active duty, she had been promoted to Oberaufseherin, senior female overseer. She now held one of the highest positions a woman could hold in the camp hierarchy. She had authority over all female prisoners and all female guards. She stood at the center of the machinery of death. According to court records and survivor testimony, Ehrich participated actively in selections, the process by which prisoners were divided into those who would live and those who would be sent to the gas chambers. She was present for the Harvest Festival massacre on November 3, 1943, when 18,000 people were murdered in a single day at Majdanek. She maltreated prisoners systematically. She did not spare even children. Her assistant was a woman named Hermine Braunschweinsteiner, who would later become known as the Mayor for her brutal treatment of prisoners. Survivors testified that they witnessed Ehrich striking prisoners with batons, verbally abusing them, and ordering them to perform degrading tasks. She held the power of life and death, or rather, the power to select who would die. On April 5, 1944, Elsa Ehrich was transferred to Krakow-Plaszow, another concentration camp in occupied Poland. This transfer came as the tide of the war began to turn against Nazi Germany. Soviet forces were advancing from the east. The Third Reich was collapsing. From June 1944 to April 1945, Ehrich was assigned to Neuengamme camp in Germany. By April 1945, Nazi Germany had only days left to exist. The camps were being evacuated. Prisoners were being marched or transported westward ahead of the Soviet advance. Ehrich fled with them, not to protect anyone, but to escape. The authority she had wielded was worthless now. The system was dead. In May 1945, British occupation forces arrested Elsa Ehrich in Hamburg. She was transferred to US custody at PW-29, a detention camp for war criminals in Dachau. There, remarkably, she shared a cell with Maria Mandl, another high-ranking female perpetrator from Auschwitz. Both women awaited trial. Both would eventually face justice. Ehrich was transferred to Polish authorities in preparation for her trial. In 1948, Elsa Ehrich stood before the District Court of Lublin at the second Majdanek Trials. She was charged with crimes against humanity. The prosecution presented evidence of her crimes. Survivors testified. They described her role in selections. They described her brutality. They described her participation in a system that murdered tens of thousands. Ehrich did not confess. She maintained her defense, but the evidence was overwhelming. On June 10, 1948, the court found her guilty. She was sentenced to death by hanging. After the verdict was announced, Ehrich appealed for clemency. She petitioned Polish President Bolesław Bierut. She argued that she had a son. She asked for mercy. She claimed she wanted to atone for her guilt. President Bierut rejected the request without hesitation. On October 26, 1948, Elsa Ehrich was hanged in Lublin prison. She was 34 years old. She had served as a concentration camp guard for approximately 8 years. During that time, she rose from an ordinary overseer to a senior administrator of death. She participated in the murder of tens of thousands. And then, 3 years after the war ended, the system of justice that the Allies had committed to establishing claimed one more perpetrator. Elsa Ehrich was one of approximately 100 female guards who served in Nazi concentration camps. She was one of a tiny fraction of Nazi perpetrators who was actually brought to justice. Her story raises questions about how ordinary people participate in extraordinary evil. She did not begin her career as a Nazi ideologue. She was not the daughter of an SS dynasty. She was a working-class woman who took a job. The job took her to Ravensbrück. From there, it took her to Majdanek, where she rose through the ranks by demonstrating competence and obedience. At each step, she had choices. At each step, her participation deepened. By the time she stood as Oberaufseherin at Majdanek, she was not a reluctant participant. She was actively directing the machinery of death. The Holocaust was not carried out by monsters. It was carried out by ordinary people who made choices. Elsa Ehrich stands in history as a reminder that those choices had consequences. Not all perpetrators faced justice, but some did. And for those did, accountability proved possible.